Listen to today's 10 sentences quickly.
Which is not to say that there's no use. It is somewhat idiosyncratic. What was the thinking behind that choice? This information is rendered as a vector space with multiple objects. It's taken us about 3 years, but now we've finally developed it. So as it is right now, we can just run. What would you say are the biggest technological roadblocks to full self-driving? Recently, there were a few hackers who tricked autopilot to act in unexpected ways. Can you elaborate on the confidence behind that answer? What would that question be? Which is not to say that there's no use, is a phrase you can use to clarify that while you're downplaying something or saying it's less important in some ways, you still recognize it has value in other contexts. It helps soften your argument and shows that you're not dismissing something entirely. For example, if someone says learning to code is less important now because of AI, this phrase lets them admit that coding still has benefits without contradicting their main point. Here's an example conversation.
With AI taking over so many coding tasks, I honestly think learning to code isn't as crucial anymore. Why spend years mastering something that AI can do in seconds?
I understand where you're coming from, which is not to say that there's no use for learning to code, though. There are still valuable areas.
But isn't that the whole point of AI? To handle the technical parts so people don't have to?
Yes, but knowing how to code isn't just about writing lines of code. It's about understanding the logic behind software and being able to work effectively with AI tools. AI can only do what it's told. You need to know how to guide it.
I guess that makes sense. So, coding is less about doing the work and more about understanding the process.
Exactly. AI is a powerful tool, but it's only as good as the person who knows how to use it.
This phrase helps Jamie acknowledge Alex's argument while still emphasizing the ongoing relevance of coding skills. It keeps the discussion balanced and constructive. It is somewhat idiosyncratic, means that something is a little unusual, peculiar, or unique in its characteristics. The word idiosyncratic is often used to describe behaviors, ideas, or styles that don't follow common patterns, but are distinctive to a particular person, group, or thing. Adding somewhat softens the phrase, suggesting it's not entirely strange but does stand out in some way. Here's an example conversation.
With AI taking over most office tasks, I don't see how human workers can stay relevant. Machines don't make mistakes like we do.
True, but humans still bring something unique to the table. AI may excel at efficiency, but human thinking is somewhat idiosyncratic. It's unpredictable and creative in ways that machines can't replicate.
I see what you mean, but isn't that a bit overrated? AI can already generate creative ideas based on patterns in data.
Sure, but humans don't just follow patterns. Our idiosyncrasies often lead to innovations AI wouldn't predict. That's why humans still have a role, even in an AI-driven office.
I guess those unique traits might still be valuable, especially when thinking outside the box is needed.
This example shows how the phrase can highlight the value of unique human traits in contrast to machine efficiency, especially in a workplace where AI is becoming dominant. It's a great way to emphasize individuality in a balanced discussion. What was the thinking behind that choice? Is a way to ask someone about their reasoning or motivation for a decision. It shows genuine curiosity and respect for their thought process, seeking to understand the logic or strategy behind the action. This phrase is often used in professional, academic, or creative contexts where decisions need justification or reflection. What was the thinking behind that choice? Can also be used in a few other ways. Can you walk me through your reasoning? Used when you want a step-by-step explanation of how someone reached their decision. Common in team meetings or brainstorming sessions. What factors influenced your decision? Used in formal discussions, especially when analyzing the impact or consequences of a choice. Suitable for business or strategic conversations. Why did you decide to go in that direction? Slightly informal, good for creative or collaborative contexts where multiple options were available.
What was the thinking behind that choice?
Can you walk me through your reasoning?
What factors influenced your decision?
Why did you decide to go in that direction? Let's take a look at a conversation that includes what was the thinking behind that choice. A discussion about which AI business models could generate significant revenue and who might benefit the most.
I've noticed that some AI startups are targeting healthcare, while others are focusing on financial analytics. Both seem like huge markets.
Absolutely, but I wonder, what was the thinking behind that choice to go into healthcare? The regulatory hurdles alone make it such a risky field.
I think it's because healthcare AI has the potential for massive societal impact. Imagine the value of AI diagnosing diseases faster and more accurately. It could save lives and attract government funding.
True, but financial analytics offers more immediate profitability. Investors want returns sooner rather than later, and finance AI doesn't face the same regulatory delays.
That's valid. But healthcare AI could also foster long-term partnerships with major institutions, creating stable revenue streams. In contrast, finance AI faces fierce competition. It's a crowded space.
Fair point. Still, I'd say the startups picking finance are prioritizing scalability. It's easier to onboard more clients quickly in finance than in healthcare.
So far, we've looked at the expression, what was the thinking behind that choice, and similar expressions in conversations. This example shows how the phrase invites deeper discussion, allowing both parties to analyze the thought processes and trade-offs behind key decisions. Each person adds layers to the conversation, leading to a well-rounded exploration of the topic. Let's move on to the next expression. This information is rendered as a vector space with multiple objects, refers to a way of representing data in a structured mathematical space. In simpler terms, it means that the data is organized as points, directions, or dimensions in a virtual space where each piece of data is assigned a specific place. This is a common way to process and analyze data in machine learning, especially in AI systems like recommendation engines or natural language processing models. Vector spaces allow AI to find patterns and relationships in data efficiently. Let's say this another way. The data is mapped into a multi-dimensional space, often used when explaining how data is structured for machine learning tasks, suitable for technical explanations during presentations or discussions. This dataset is represented as vectors with various attributes, common in machine learning discussions when referring to feature representation in models. Information is encoded in a high-dimensional space, used when emphasizing how complex relationships or features are captured in AI models. Let's look at a conversation using this expression. A conversation about how AI processes data to understand language and make predictions.
I've been reading about how AI translates sentences. It's fascinating, but I'm still confused. How does it understand context?
It's all about how the information is rendered as a vector space with multiple objects. Every word, phrase, or sentence is transformed into a point in this space based on its meaning and relationship to others.
So, are these vectors like coordinates that tell the AI where everything is in this space?
Exactly. For example, in natural language processing, similar words like happy and joyful will be closer together in this space, while unrelated words like apple and run will be far apart.
That makes sense. Is that why AI can generate recommendations or predict the next word in a sentence?
Yes, because once the AI has everything mapped out, it can use patterns in the space to find relationships or predict outcomes. For instance, when you ask it to complete a sentence, it checks which words in the vector space are most likely to follow based on the context.
It's amazing how a mathematical structure can capture something as complex as language.
This information is rendered as a vector space with multiple objects. This conversation breaks down the concept into manageable pieces, showing how vector spaces are essential for understanding AI functionality. The dialogue incorporates the technical depth, but keeps the tone conversational, making it relatable and insightful for those new to AI concepts. "It's taken us about 3 years, but now we've finally developed it." The phrase, "It's taken us about 3 years, but now we've finally developed it," expresses the effort and time invested in achieving a significant milestone. It conveys pride in the result after a long, dedicated process. The focus is on perseverance, teamwork, and the satisfaction of completion. This phrase is commonly used in professional settings, particularly when announcing a breakthrough, completing a project, or launching a new product. It emphasizes both the journey and the achievement. Let's say this another way. After years of effort, we've finally made it a reality. This works well when celebrating the successful completion of a dream or ambitious goal, especially in creative or tech industries. It took longer than we expected, but we've accomplished it. This acknowledges unexpected delays, but focuses on the outcome, suitable for meetings or presentations. We've poured years into this project, and now it's ready. This phrase highlights the dedication involved and is often used when presenting a completed project to stakeholders. Let's look at a conversation using this expression. Two team members of a startup discuss their journey to develop a groundbreaking AGI-powered service for personal productivity.
It's incredible to think where we started 3 years ago. Just a vague idea and a whiteboard full of sketches.
Right? It's taken us about 3 years, but now we've finally developed it. AGI that can manage tasks, learn user habits, and adapt in real time. Honestly, I wasn't sure we'd get here.
The early days were tough. Remember how the first iteration couldn't even manage a simple calendar sync?
Of course, and now it's handling multi-layered decision-making processes. The breakthroughs in natural language processing and neural architecture were key.
It's exciting, but the real challenge is ahead. Convincing users that AGI can truly enhance their productivity.
Absolutely. Trust and user experience will be everything. But I think our iterative testing approach gives us a strong edge in the market.
It's taken us about 3 years, but now we've finally developed it. This conversation offers insights into the dedication required to create AGI-based services. It also explores the technical hurdles and the importance of market readiness, which are key considerations for startups in the AGI era. The logical structure moves from reflection on the past to acknowledgement of current achievements and anticipation of future challenges. So as it is right now, we can just run. The phrase, "so as it is right now, we can just run," conveys a sense of readiness, or a point where the current state of a project, system, or situation is functional enough to proceed without further delay. It suggests that although things might not be perfect or final, they are good enough to start or move forward. This kind of statement is often used in technical or project-based discussions where timing and functionality are crucial. Let's say this another way. For now, we're good to go. This works well in casual or professional settings, signaling readiness without complications. We're operational as it stands. A more formal option, typically used in technical or strategic contexts. At this point, we can proceed. This emphasizes taking action based on the current circumstances. Let's look at a conversation using this expression. Two team members at a tech company discuss the role of technical expertise in product development and their current project's progress.
The tech we're building only works because of the team's expertise. Their problem-solving skills and deep understanding of the system architecture made all the difference.
Exactly. That's why we emphasize hiring people with strong technical foundations. But what's the status on deployment?
So, as it is right now, we can just run. The infrastructure is stable, the core features are tested, and the dependencies are set.
That's great news. Are there any known gaps we need to address?
A few minor optimizations for scalability, but they're not blockers. We can handle them in parallel after the launch.
Perfect. It's another example of why technical skills are so critical. We can push forward because the foundation is solid.
Exactly. Without a strong team, we wouldn't be able to adapt this quickly.
So, As it is right now, we can just run. This conversation highlights the centrality of technical expertise in a tech company and how it enables agile decision-making. It also connects the readiness of a project to the capabilities of the team, illustrating the importance of a balance between foundational skills and forward momentum. The phrase "in focus" is used to emphasize progress and readiness, despite ongoing adjustments, fitting the larger context of technical discussions in dynamic environments. What would you say are the biggest technological roadblocks to full self-driving? The phrase, "What would you say are the biggest technological roadblocks to full self-driving?" is a question often used to invite an opinion or analysis about the most significant challenges in achieving a specific goal. In this case, fully autonomous driving technology. It's a way of asking someone to identify the critical barriers or obstacles that must be overcome. This phrase is frequently used in discussions about technology, innovation, or strategic problem-solving. Let's say this another way. In your view, what are the key challenges to achieving full self-driving? A more formal way to ask for someone's perspective on the main difficulties. What do you think is holding us back from full self-driving? A casual variation, suited for informal discussions. Which hurdles do you see as the most significant for full self-driving? Slightly technical, focusing on specific barriers to progress. Let's look at a conversation using this expression. Two engineers at a tech company discuss the importance of technical skills and the challenges faced in achieving full self-driving vehicles.
If you ask me, a company is only as good as its team's technical expertise. Without that, innovation stalls.
True, but even with a strong team, some challenges are monumental. What would you say are the biggest technological roadblocks to full self-driving?
Honestly, perception systems are still a huge issue. Cameras, LiDAR, and radar struggle in extreme weather or low visibility. What about you?
For me, it's the edge cases. Self-driving systems still can't reliably handle rare or unexpected scenarios. Humans adapt instinctively, but machines have limits.
And that's exactly why we need the best engineers. Building algorithms to tackle those edge cases takes incredible talent and expertise.
Agreed. The tech will evolve, but only if the people behind it stay ahead of the curve.
It's a good reminder that the biggest breakthroughs are always tied to human ingenuity.
What would you say are the biggest technological roadblocks to full self-driving? This dialogue illustrates the essential role of technical talent in addressing the complex challenges of autonomous driving. It highlights two key roadblocks: perception systems and edge cases, connecting them to the broader importance of having skilled engineers. The phrase itself is used to encourage thoughtful discussion about these challenges, aligning with the central theme of human expertise being critical in advancing technology. Recently, there were a few hackers who tricked autopilot to act in unexpected ways. The sentence, "Recently, there were a few hackers who tricked autopilot to act in unexpected ways," refers to a situation where hackers manipulated an autonomous driving system, like Tesla's autopilot, causing it to behave unpredictably or against its intended design. This kind of scenario highlights the vulnerabilities in tech systems, emphasizing the need for strong cybersecurity measures. It's often used in discussions about technological risks, system integrity, and the importance of safeguarding advanced technologies from malicious actors. Let's say this another way. Some hackers recently exploited vulnerabilities in autopilot, leading to unintended actions. Hackers managed to manipulate the self-driving system, causing unexpected behaviors. There was a case where autopilot got hacked, and it started behaving unpredictably. Let's look at a conversation using this expression. Engineers at a tech company discuss the importance of strong technical skills to combat vulnerabilities in autonomous driving systems.
You know, in tech companies, having the best talent is critical. A single weak link can jeopardize the whole system.
Absolutely. Did you hear about the recent incident? Recently, there were a few hackers who tricked autopilot to act in unexpected ways.
Yes, I read about that. They exploited a flaw in the system's object recognition algorithms. That's terrifying.
It really is. This just shows how essential it is to have a team with deep expertise in both AI and cybersecurity.
Exactly. A robust, talented team can identify these vulnerabilities before hackers do. It's about staying ahead of the curve.
And let's not forget, it also requires constant learning and adaptation. The tech evolves, and so do the threats.
Which is why a tech company's most valuable asset isn't the technology itself, it's the people who create and protect it.
Couldn't agree more. This is a wake-up call for all of us to prioritize cybersecurity talent in our hiring strategies.
Recently, there were a few hackers who tricked Autopilot to act in unexpected ways. This conversation highlights the growing challenges in safeguarding tech systems, especially in areas like autonomous driving. By addressing the role of hackers and the unexpected ways they can manipulate such systems, it draws a clear connection to the need for skilled professionals. The discussion emphasizes the value of technical expertise and adaptability, presenting a balanced view on the importance of people over mere technology. Can you elaborate on the confidence behind that answer? The phrase, "Can you elaborate on the confidence behind that answer?" is used when someone wants to understand the reasoning or evidence that supports a statement or decision. It's essentially asking, "What makes you so sure about what you just said?" This phrase is often used in discussions that require critical thinking, problem-solving, or detailed justification, like in business meetings, academic settings, or tech-related brainstorming sessions. Let's say this another way. What supports your confidence in that response? Could you explain what makes you certain about that? What's the rationale behind your confidence in that? Let's look at a conversation using this expression. Engineers at a tech company are discussing how essential technical skills are for their team's success and whether their current strategy aligns with long-term goals.
I believe our team's focus on upskilling in AI and cybersecurity will position us ahead of competitors in the next 2 years.
That's an interesting point, but can you elaborate on the confidence behind that answer? What makes you so sure about the 2-year time frame?
Sure. First, we've analyzed hiring trends, and the demand for AI and cybersecurity experts is only going up. Secondly, our internal data shows that teams with these skills have reduced system vulnerabilities by 60% over the past year.
I see. But what about other competitors? Won't they also be investing in similar skills?
Absolutely, but we've already begun implementation. Most companies are still strategizing. Being ahead in execution gives us a first-mover advantage.
That's a solid point. The proactive approach does give us an edge, especially in an industry that's evolving this rapidly.
Exactly. It's not just about what we're doing. It's about the pace at which we're doing it.
Can you elaborate on the confidence behind that answer? This conversation reflects probing questions about the logic behind a confident statement. By asking to elaborate, the speaker discovers the other person's well-crafted arguments based on market trends, internal results, and competitor analysis. This conversation emphasizes the importance of backing up opinions with data and logic, a critical skill in technology-driven industries. What would that question be? The phrase, "What would that question be?" is typically used to ask for clarification about a specific question someone might be considering or referring to. It's a way of inviting someone to articulate or specify what they're thinking. This phrase often appears in conversations involving problem-solving, brainstorming, or discussions where assumptions need to be clarified. Let's say this another way. Can you specify the question? What exactly are you asking? What's the question you have in mind? Let's look at a conversation using this expression. Leaders at an AI company are debating how their innovations might reshape global wealth distribution.
If we're saying AI will shift the distribution of wealth, we need to pinpoint the exact challenges that will arise from this shift.
True, but before addressing solutions, what would that question be? Are we asking how AI will create opportunities, or are we questioning who will control those opportunities?
Good point. I think the question should center on ownership, specifically who owns the AI systems that will generate new wealth.
And if ownership stays concentrated, what happens to inequality? We might unintentionally amplify the gap between the top 1% and everyone else.
Exactly. But if governments or global coalitions can ensure fair access, AI could democratize wealth creation. That's the key challenge we need to address.
So, the real question might be, how do we design AI policies to distribute wealth inclusively while encouraging innovation?
Yes, and answering that will determine whether AI becomes a tool for equality or further divides society.
What would that question be? This conversation illustrates how "what would that question be?" prompts deeper thinking about the core issues at hand. In this case, it helps clarify the focus of the discussion, moving it from abstract ideas about AI's impact to actionable considerations like ownership, policies, and equality. This level of specificity is vital when addressing complex topics like AI's role in reshaping wealth distribution.
Listen to today's 10 sentences quickly.
Which is not to say that there's no use. It is somewhat idiosyncratic. What was the thinking behind that choice? This information is rendered as a vector space with multiple objects. It's taken us about 3 years, but now we've finally developed it. So as it is right now, we can just run. What would you say are the biggest technological roadblocks to full self-driving? Recently, there were a few hackers who tricked autopilot to act in unexpected ways. Can you elaborate on the confidence behind that answer? What would that question be?